This is not the Caleb Widowgast you know and love. Before we talk about the huge changes to everyone's favorite trash wizard in the latest Mighty Nein episode, why not take a second to hit those like and subscribe buttons? It's fast, it's totally free, and we really do appreciate it. And then, let's talk some Mighty Nein. The Mighty Nein keeps on delivering those major changes that the Critical Role cast has been warning us about with Episode 5. And while some of those changes, like Bo being far more competent and powerful this early in the campaign, and Ford being far less competent and confident, spending most of this episode just throwing up for example, have already been established, the character who has seen the most radical changes so far has to be Caleb, whose tragic past becomes even more tragic in the latest episode, and whose actions in the present show us that this version of Caleb is far more dangerous and possibly far more unhinged than what we saw during the actual play. The storyline, which has now also completely gone off into a brand new direction with the team capturing the halfling Volstrucker and interrogating her, now leading to a very early blow-up between Bo and Caleb, as well as the running joke of suspicious solitary chairs popping up multiple times in the episode. But the true divergence came in the flashbacks to Caleb's life, which we see during the episode. Caleb's backstory is even sadder and more brutal with all the added time we spend with him and his loving parents, and of course the original Frumpkin, which makes what happens to them later all the more horrific. But beside all the glimpses of his brutal training under Ickathon and the horrifying scene where the residuum crystals get embedded under his skin, for the first time we get a real look at Caleb in his Volstrucker days, and the level of violence and murder he was capable of is truly shocking. He not only runs around blowing holes through people's heads without a second thought, at one point he uses a compulsion spell to make a Cobalt Soul monk disembowel himself with his own knife, without so much as a second thought. And when we get to the scene where Ickathon reveals that Caleb's parents are allegedly part of a group of anti-Empire traitors, we do see a flash of surprise on his face, but no hint of any magical manipulation from Ickathon that we got in the actual play. And while that might have happened off screen, in the flashbacks we see a Caleb who appears very aware of the choice he's making. There does not appear to be any magical memory alteration, just a list of names allegedly provided by the King Spymaster that Caleb basically immediately chooses to believe. And while initially conflicted, his decision to trap his own family and Frumpkin inside the burning house, and yes, you can hear some truly horrifying meows when he ignites the family home, all appear to be very much the choice of Caleb in this version of the show, with any manipulation from Ickathon being emotional and not magical in nature. And only once a house is fully ablaze and the screaming stops does Caleb finally kind of see what he's done and have a breakdown. And it almost feels like Liam wants to explore an even darker side of Caleb, where in the actual play he had this magical memory alteration to fall back on, as a way of basically excusing what happened, giving him a reason for it that was out of his control, whereas in this version, in the animated series, this is very much Caleb's choice, and it is very much Caleb's fault, which is a much, much darker take on an already pretty dark character. And in the present, that scene is mirrored by the most brutal display we've ever seen from the wizard, as he uses his cat's paw spell to trap the halfling Volstrucker in place against a tree, before methodically and brutally burning her to death with firebolt after firebolt until only a smoking skeleton is left. It's a truly horrific act of murder for someone who, even in the flashbacks, didn't really appear to have much conflict with Caleb himself. In fact, you see Caleb kind of get one over on her during the training, but apparently her ties to Trent were enough to have Caleb unleash all of his rage on her and show us that this version of Caleb is far, far more unhinged, and most likely far, far more dangerous than his actual play counterpart. The episode ends with another big change as Caleb gets ready to divulge his Volstrucker history to the Mighty Nein, far, far earlier than he did during the campaign itself, and frankly this is probably for the best, as it helps remove one of the few inconsistencies with his character during the actual play, where he was both very secretive about his own past, while constantly hounding Ford to reveal his secrets instead. So now when the time comes, if it does, it won't seem hypocritical, it will seem like a man who's already bared his soul asking his comrade to kind of do the same thing. And we also got an amazing rendition of Knott's I'm the Parent speech to help close out the episode, which was a fantastic touch, and we're really glad they were able to keep that in the animated series. So with this more terrifying, murder-capable Caleb running around, And with Bo seemingly taking the lead and moving the story forward with her investigation, it's also become clear that Season 1 is really the Caleb, Bo, and Not show. While Yasha may be almost totally absent, Jester, Ford, and Molly are also not getting a ton of time in the spotlight, as we're basically getting 2 back-to-back Caleb-centric episodes with only 3 episodes left in the season. But the good news is that Ford, Molly, and Jester, and hopefully Yasha, should have a lot more time to shine in Season 2, with all of this Caleb, Bo, and Not backstory being laid out so early in Season 1. And frankly, this new, frightening version of Caleb has definitely made for yet another incredible episode of the Mighty Nein, and like always, we cannot wait to see what happens in the next one. So what do you think? Do you approve of this more murder first, questions later version of Caleb? Let us know down in the comments, and don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons.